Hi guys, today we're going to do some practice reading a topographic map or a contour map. And this is the one I asked you to print out if possible. And we're going to look over this one really quick. And before we get started, we're going to kind of see what we can discover. Um, first off, first thing I see is there is a indication of where's north, so that would be south, east, west. We also have a little scale here, and the scale is in miles. And usually when they provide you with the scale, they want you to measure a distance. So like for here it says 0 to 6 miles is this long on this map. What I usually do is, let's say they wanted us to measure A to B, or C to D, either way. And I just take an extra sheet of paper. I'm going to line it up. If they said we need to measure C to D, I'm going to line the edge of my paper up with the C, and then I'm going to go to D, and I'm going to make a little tick mark on my paper so I know from the tip of my paper to here, that's the distance if you walk this line on this mountain. And then I would compare that to my scale, which roughly comes out to 2 miles. So if they do ask us to measure C to point D, it's 2 miles in distance. If we were to do the same with A to B, I'd do the same thing. I'd take the edge of my sheet of paper, line it up with A, then I'd go to this B, make a mark here, and now I'd go over here. See what's happening? My mark is further than the 6 miles provided, but I know this point is 6. So I'm going to just start over here. And so it's about 7.5. So this point would be 7.5. So it's 7.5 miles from point A to point B. If we're asked that question, we've already calculated that. All right. So I do notice that they don't tell us the contour interval, which means what the lines are counting by. So I'm going to go ahead and figure it out real quick. What is the contour interval? And I can see here that this is 900. The next line is labeled 1000. Remember, the labeled lines, and especially this dark one here, is a contour index line. All right, so it goes from 1000. If it went from 900 to 1000, I already know it's counting by 100, but I want to just make sure. So 1000, 1100, 1200, 1300, 1400, 1500. I am right. What I generally do is I go ahead and label them. That way I know what their elevation is before I even get started, and I can easily read the points on the map, or easily figure out that this one is 1500, this must be 1600 now. So I know that Rock Mountain Peak is higher in elevation than 1600, but there's not an additional contour line to indicate 1700. So Rock Mountain Peak has to be between 1601. It's higher than 1601, but it can't be higher than 1699. So it's got to be in there somewhere. Okay. I see a lake drawn in on the lake. Here's Fish Creek. Obviously, it's coming downhill in this way because the lines, the point indicates uphill, so it's flowing in this direction. All right, let's see what kind of questions we're being asked here. All right, first question is, what is the contour interval? Well, we already had figured that out. It's counting by 100. Okay, so it's 100, we're going to say feet. All right, what is the possible elevation of point X on the map? Well, we already said we don't know exactly what it is because it's going to be between 1601 to 1699 feet. Anywhere in there is a possible elevation. So you could write something from 1601 to 1699. That's up to you. In general, I just put the range there because I'm not sure, because X does not tell us its exact elevation. Oh, we already did this too. Look at us. We're good to go. What is the distance from point A to B? Well, let me get my little thing here. I know it's 7.5 miles, but let me show you again how I got there. I put the end of my paper on A, slid it up to B, and where the point B is, I made a line, remember? And I took my line down here to the scale, and my scale wasn't long enough, but I know that this one is 6 miles. Then I had to add to that, so I put my 6 miles on 0, and it's about, let's say, 7.5 still. So line A to B is about 7.5 miles. And which side of the mountain is the steepest? Well, all right, now we need to use our compass rose for sure. We know the closer the lines are, the steeper the mountain. These right here, these lines are the closest. So I would say that over here is the steepest. And that would be generally north side of the mountain. I'm going to say north. Right? North, south, east, west. Okay. Which side of the mountain has the most gradual slope? Obviously, gradual slope means the lines are far apart. The contour lines far apart. So let's look at that. Where are the lines the furthest apart? It looks like on this side. So that's kind of between north and west, because this would be north, west, south, and east. So I'm going to say northwest because it's that direction, right? Northwest side. Okay, which direction is Fish Creek flowing? Well, we know that when the V points to the top of the higher in elevation, and so the flow must be this way, so it is flowing directly east. All right, and we have some more questions on this page. A hiker is going from point A to C. What is the change in elevation? Okay, so the hiker is starting out at 900, right? That's the elevation because the point A is directly on a contour line, so I know for sure A is equal to 900. What is C equal to? Well, C is also on a contour line, so I know that C is equal to 1500. We need to know the change in elevation. Basically, we need to know the difference between the 2 points. So you can use your calculator or you can just do math with me. So we're going to take our largest number, 1500, and subtract the 900. And what did I do that for? That's wrong. Sorry, guys. I'm like, why did I do that? No. 15. Okay, so 9 minus 15 is a 6. Okay, so 600. We said we're going to do feet, so this is 600 feet is the change in elevation, is 600 feet. All right. Our next question, on which side of the mountain would you expect the most erosion during a downpour and why? Okay, so remember, weathering is the breakdown of rock, right? then erosion is the moving of rock, right? Moving rock, that broken down rock to a new location. Rock, dust, whatever, small particles, soil particles. All right, so where do you think it's going to be the most erosion during a downpour? Well, if you think about it this way, the gradual slope, will that carry stuff down quickly, or the steeper slope? If you said the steeper side, I have to agree with you, because that eroded rock at the top is going to easily be carried down a steep angle versus a gradual angle. All right, next up, last question here. It says if the elevation of point X is 1,686 feet, what is the difference in elevation from point C to point X? All right, so we already know C is equal to 1,500. And if they're telling us X is equal to 1686, we need to know the difference. So we're going to take once again, our largest number. And subtract the smaller number. You can use your calculator if you want. And we get 186 feet as the difference in elevation. And now it wants us to put that on the critical. This is a whole number. So all we do is put in 186. You don't have to fill in any of the zeros. You can if you wish. So remember, whole numbers always go before the decimal. And then you just make sure and bubble those in. Otherwise, it would be counted as incorrect. All right, so that's so much for practicing. I wanted to note a couple more things real quick. Good job for practicing with me. If you should see certain symbols on a map, such as, well, we talked about the depression, the circles or contour lines that have the little hatchet marks, they mean something is going down, and so it's going deeper. So like here, it was 20 feet in height. Here it's only 10 feet in height, so it's changing, but it's going downward. But here you see the little boxes that indicates buildings. You see a box with a flag on it, that's a school. Here, once again, the depression. Little marks like this would be an unpaved road. These little circles that you see over here on the map, that's an orchard or like a fruit farm. Here would be a peak for this one. Remember, peak could also be indicated by an X. Roadways, railroads, swamps, and mines, and all kinds of different things could be on a map. But remember, if certain things besides the depression, other symbols are used on a map, you would also get a key for that in order to interpret what's going on. All right, guys, time's up. Got to get this video on YouTube because it's going to cut me off anyway. So I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.